We're thrilled to be a part of Saber's webinar summer series, and I really want to thank you, Robbie, for all your hard work to make today happen. So thank you. And quick introduction, I'm Robbie Bernstein. So we have another Robbie here, and I'm one of the sales directors at Commercebuild, and I live in Vancouver, BC. Also joining me today from Commercebuild is our VP of Customer Success, Paul Stacey, who also lives in Vancouver. Paul has over 20 years of ERP knowledge and is truly valued not only by our team, but by all our clients as well. You'll see his passion is truly sincere and he shines. We're so thrilled to be able to introduce our solutions to you all today. And please, if you do have questions, you can type them in. We'll be able to answer them at the end. Getting right into it with our agenda, it's action-packed. We're going to be talking about why e-commerce is vital to your business and how we're helping reduce cost and increase revenue, the latest e-commerce industry trends. We're even going to show you some ROI calculators we've created for our clients and show you a lot about our customer portal and our e-commerce web stores, followed by a demo with Paul. And then afterwards, I'm going to come back on. Everyone always wants to know the range of pricing. So I will review that and also talk about a really exciting customer promotion that we're going to be doing as well. So the thing about e-commerce, or if you go online, is that it does have a lot of different values and benefits. And shopping enablement is more than selling something. In some instances, it's acquiring new customers or better brand visibility. There's a lot of research from analysts saying that a customer typically will spend 60 to 70% of the research time before they'll even engage with a company. So the benefit of a store online is also that journey of research. It's looking at products or variations of those products so that they can make key decisions before buying. A lot of conversations that Paul and I have been having with companies lately is not only how can they survive, but thrive during inflation. And leveraging our technology in combination with Saber's consulting really optimizes your ability to overcome this biggest challenge that we're all facing. And it's how to outperform your competition. And we're going to help you by being able to scale and grow. Scale and grow is really important when we talk about because a store never takes a vacation. The customer is always online 24/7. And a store enables customers to self-service. Your customer can self-service to make decisions of what they need and actually buying things they didn't actually think they were planning to buy because you're presenting related items. Scale and grow also means growing into new markets. One of our customers is a worldwide distributor of cricket bats and balls, and they have locations around the globe. And our platform allows them to cost effectively add these sites to drive new revenue, win more customers. We look at the ERP as the single source of truth, and our goal is to maximize our clients' ERP investment. Automating operations really sets us apart from other softwares because they treat the websites as a standalone instance. We're not like that. Because we are integrated directly into Business Central, our solution reduces errors and improves accuracy. We're relieving the frustrations felt among your sales reps, CSRs, internal operations, and even customers, because you're assisting in their ability to find information quickly, accurately, and easily within a click of a button. We're also reducing administrative costs because we like to say we're adding a VIP team member who works 24/7, 365. Improved customer service is a given. Customers like to be able to access information when they want it and how they want it. And we really do a great job personalizing and making customers happy. Lastly, it goes into that automating. The first time a human touches the order is when it goes to being picked and shipped. So a question we get asked all the time is who needs e-commerce? Well, I always say everyone does, but like Sabre, our sweet spot is in the manufacturing sector. And clients like Mitsubishi, Satellite, Dennis Carpenter are a few logos I wanted to share today. We also work with a lot of print companies like Monk here in British Columbia. You name it, we've built the site for them. So the B2B e-commerce purchasing journey now really is mimicking the B2C e-commerce space more than ever. When we think about B2C, we think about marketing-driven sites usually. Usually there's like a low number of SKUs, they're fast to market. Often we see them using a Shopify or Magento. When we think about B2B, it's sales driven. Business is done over the phone, email. Gosh, we've even heard it, faxes. Yes, there are faxes still around. Traditional sales reps are placing orders on behalf of the customers. But what's interesting is there's not a lot of e-commerce sites for the B2B. And what's been changing the landscape, which we find so exciting, is that B2B now is implementing so much, ERP solutions. And that single source of truth is how we're feeding their e-commerce store so that they can keep track of everything, all the pricing, the stock levels, the shipping, and we're making it seamless. The truth also is that the B2B purchasing journey is really coming to mimic the B2C space more than ever, and it's thanks to the millennials. The workplace is now comprised of more digital natives than ever before, and they've got the clout. And according to a study by Merit, 73% of 20 to 35-year-olds are involved in the product or service purchase decision making at their respective companies, with 1/3 reporting that they are the sole decision makers for their department. And because they're raised with technology, they conduct their research online. They're savvy. They don't want to talk to sales reps. They want to do the research first before they reach out to the companies they want to potentially work with. And they expect to self-service and to purchase 24/7, 365. And what's happening more and more as we're seeing too is that desire of that B2C experience to be able to be done in a B2B fashion. They want to remove all of the complexities of buying, meaning that they don't want to wait till their sales reps get, to them the next morning or when the company opens. They want their online portal to manage their account. So if they're working late at night, they can click on the tracking or they can place an order in the hours that they're working in. It's a different world now. We all experienced it since COVID. We're working different hours, different methods, a lot of working from home, and they want that personalized buying experience. And they're not afraid to turn to a competitor if their needs are not being met. And because of this and so many more reasons, B2B e-commerce is rapidly growing, and it's now valued over 5 times that of a B2C e-commerce market. What can I say? I love statistics, and PR Web is confirming that 90% of B2B buyers will turn to a competitor if a supplier's digital channel doesn't meet their needs. And as I mentioned before with COVID, I know we don't like to talk about COVID anymore, but it has changed the way we buy, especially with B2B as well. We can see that 87% of buyers would pay more for supplier with an excellent e-commerce portal, which you can see is up 81% in 2020 and look, 74% 2019. Feedback we received from partners is that most customer portals and e-commerce projects don't go as planned and are really expensive. Usually it's because of unexpected costs, taking too long, and worse, they've had to hire costly specialists that are not ERP focused. The one I heard a lot lately too, sadly, was that CTOs had quit. And Paul and I actually worked with 3 companies that had that situation, that they depended on the developer to create a really high level customized site that they didn't even know how to enter. They quit, it was halfway built, and they didn't know what to do. I'm happy to report that we saved the day. Our Commercebuild solution is really unique because we are ERP integrated. But what makes us stand out is how easy and affordable we make it. Our B2B and B2C sites are affordable. Our customer portals are really efficient as well. We're custom for small, medium businesses, but we're also enterprise level and do have enterprise accounts. We're fast. We do fixed fee implementations, and we do not have long-term contracts. I know everybody wants to know, how fast are you guys? Well, we're so fast that we can create customer portals within 15 minutes. I think that's quick. I can barely finish my coffee in 15 minutes, so I'm impressed with that statistic to share. Our web stores, we can deploy them within 30 to 60 days, and we here in the Microsoft space average is about a year. So this is how quick we do implement your sites. We also have a worldwide support team that can respond within any request. If you need any help when you're a client of ours, we reply within less than an hour. And for your confidence, our plug and play sites, we have created over 1,000. Today, Paul's going to be showing you a little bit about our customer portal, which is really a great offering that we can create for you if you just need one. You don't have to have a full B2B or B2C site with us. We can start with a portal, which allows you to reduce those calls and emails of where's my tracking number, where's my, shipment, all the invoices from transactional history so they can click on them so accounting teams don't have to bother your CSRs with finding old invoices from a year ago they lost. They can even pay invoices that they like online. We actually created an ROI calculator to show just how much we're saving time of your team's support for these type of questions that happen, we know, every day. So we based it on SMBs, where we found that in average, there's usually per company about 4, either they're called customer service reps, sales reps, or account managers. We put average salary that includes the benefits of $62,000 per CSR. And there's about 30 interactions per CSR a day, whether there's taking a quick email, a call, interaction, that usually is no more than 5 minutes. We put in the metrics that if you conservatively had 25% use our customer portal, so that's a very low number. And with our costs, which are so low, you can see it's only $2,500 US or 3,000 Canadian for the implementation, 500 US for monthly or 600 Canadian. The results and the numbers show right away, not only are we saving 6.6 days of the CSR's time per month, yes, from not having to service those calls of where's my order? Can you get me this tracking number, the invoices, all of that, even assisting them by paying over the phone. That takes a lot of time. And that value is over $4,400 in the first year monthly value. So we have a lot of fun having those conversations of what would you do with that extra hours that your team could, save. And the answers have been really, diverse, but a common thread has always been, well, we're so thinly staffed, this will actually give us the opportunity to provide better customer support for our clients. And others were like, oh, we're just so excited to not deal with mundane phone calls so that we can, focus on growing the revenue. B2B and B2C e-commerce web stores is another solution that we seamlessly can create. We can do very robust sites with personalized pricing, product customization, even Elasticsearch, which means you can find items instantly. I'll save that for Paul to show you visually. So with my last slide, before we get into the fun demo that I know you're all waiting for, we also created an ROI calculator that we can always customize in conversations, where we can really break down to you to show you how much money we're also saving you from all the, errors that happen when you're manually entering orders. You have to key them into the ERP, you have paper everywhere. It happens, and we find even with a 5% error rate, and we've heard of clients having higher, but on a low metric there, we're also saving CSR's time of dealing with, having to do call tags, restocking. Often a lot of the items can't be resold. So we've been finding on a basic foundation level site, we're saving over 10.5 days a month for CSR time, helping with, problem orders. And once again, a value of over $4,800 a month for first year monthly savings, something that we're happy to just plug in with you with your own numbers. So with that, I'm going to get Paul to get ready to set up, and I'll come back shortly after and show you some of our pricing packages. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to start this presentation within Business Central, just to give you all a feel for just how simple it can be actually to create both the customer portal and the web store that Robbie was just taking you through. So hopefully this Business Central interface looks pretty familiar to you all. And what you would do in order to get hold of the Commercebuild app is that if you go to the regular Microsoft extension marketplace here, you can go ahead in any of your companies. Maybe you have a sandbox company that you can work with. You can search for Commercebuild in the search box, and you can go ahead and install this connector. There's a free trial of the connector, so that would actually give you the opportunity, once installed, to actually go ahead and build your own site connected to your data. So the benefit to you there, of course, is that you'll be able to build a site that utilizes your customers, your products, and pricing, and so on. So we can send you instructions on how to actually configure the site as you go. But really, it's a simple job of once you've installed the Commercebuild connector here, and you click on New, you can go ahead and create a site. You can give it a name that would be familiar to you, and once the site is built, the person indicated in the admin email here would get an email to indicate that the site is actually built. And what you end up with at that particular point is something that will look something similar to this. So this here is really our first look at a Commercebuild web store that is actually connected to that Business Central environment that I just showed you. And really, with that web store built and connected to Business Central, all of the data interchanging between the site and Business Central is all handled for you behind the scenes. You don't have to worry about any importing and exporting of data or any complex configuration requirements. Everything that we need in the web store is already synced up here. So that would include things like the customers and the items, the pricing, item availability, and so on. And that's what we'll go through right now. And Robbie mentioned there, she was talking about business to business and business to consumer web stores. I'm going to run you through mostly the business to business side of a portal and a web store. But much of what I'm showing you in here would also relate to a consumer style web store as well. Really, the premise of a customer portal or a web store is that it's typically is a business to business relationship, and so you really know who those people are that you're allowing to connect up to your web store. So one of the first things that will happen is that the user will be given a user login, secure login, and that user. So here I am logged in at the top left of my screen. I'm logged in as myself. And when I log in here, I'm actually connected to Alpine Ski House, which is one of the customers that exist in my demo data. So really, once I've logged into this site, everything that I do now within this particular site is relating to Alpine Ski House. And really, if we go ahead and start on the customer portal side of things, then what I would expect as an Alpine Ski House user here is to see everything that relates to me in terms of things like the orders, shipments, and transactions, and so on that Robbie was mentioning. So as we arrive here at the customer portal pages, of course you can label it how you like. Here I've got it labeled as my account. But essentially, this is a portal that your customers can use 24/7. They can access that kind of data that Robbie was talking about in terms of, where's my orders and shipments, and that really does cut down those inbound phone calls and frees up your CSRs to do more productive things. So as the user arrives here at the sales orders page, as an example, the web store will immediately go back to Business Central and check that it's got the latest list of sales orders and their current status. So a user can see at any point in time, the current status of the sales orders that they've been placing. And bear in mind too, that's all sales orders. That's not just orders that might have come in through a web store, but that could be any order that maybe has been keyed in manually into Business Central, maybe through EDI or any other mechanism that gets orders into Business Central. So that's a very important point, that the web store user can access all of their information about all of their orders and transactions. By the way, all of the screens that we're seeing here, of course, colors and fonts are very important in terms of branding. So all of that is very, very configurable within the configuration of each web store or each customer portal. Logo and so on, of course, would be imported. And also, Robbie was mentioning there about millennials being such a huge part of the buying audience that's out there now, and not only that, but also the kinds of devices that people are using, and so therefore we have to be able to cope with mobile devices. And so for that reason, any web store that you build here would use one of our many templates, and each of our templates are what's known as responsive in their design. And so because they're responsive, whether you're using this website on a computer with a large screen or a mobile device, the pages will actually respond accordingly to the device that you're looking at. So look and feel is a very arbitrary thing. Here, I've just got a typical kind of out of the box demo look and feel, but more than happy to work with you on tailoring that to your requirements. So back to the sales order here, we can see that the sales order data is being pulled from Business Central. And is immediately available to the user, and really from this point, typically users are here because they want to see the status of a sales order, or they're here because in the shipment section they really want to see the status of a shipment. When did it leave? When might they expect it? Maybe getting a proof of delivery if FedEx, UPS, and all those usual folks are have a proof of delivery system. So long as you guys are providing the actual tracking link within Business Central when you're shipping the order, then that tracking link will flow through here to the web store or customer portal. And then as we go through, of course, after shipping, you typically go into invoice and order. So your online customer here can see at any point in time also the current status of invoices. And really what we're meaning there is, oftentimes one of the key questions you guys get asked and is asked of your customer service reps is to send a copy of an invoice. And really, with all of these different transactions, orders, shipments, and the invoices, it's really important that we provide you with a mechanism to actually download copies of those documents. So what we're doing here, what you're seeing on the screen, is actually a copy of the invoice regenerated from Business Central on the fly. So the great thing with that is this would be your template for an invoice, really generated on the fly, just as a copy that the customer can then download and put into their accounting system. So again, really cutting down on those inbound kind of calls to your customer service reps. Also important things like perhaps you offer invoice discounts for early settlement and things like that. So all of that data would come through here, and really this is indicating to the user the current status of their account for both invoices, payments, credits, and so on, and importantly allowing the user to actually pay invoices. So any invoice amount that is currently outstanding can be presented to the user here. They can go ahead and actually select the invoices they want to pay. They can pay any amount of that invoice up to the amount that's due. And when they continue on to the next page here, they can enter their credit card and pay off the balance of that invoice or many invoices at one time. Just as a little aside, although my screen here has gone straight to the credit card option, ACH is also possible if you wish to take ACH payments. So that's a little really about a customer portal in terms of the kinds of things that users do. Just one other thing while we're here, really, I mentioned I logged on as myself, user Paul. One of the other really useful aspects of a customer portal and an e-commerce site is that you can provide access not only to your customers, but also very typically to your sales reps, perhaps importantly, those ones that are out on the road a lot. So here in my example, I've got Jim Olive here set up as a sales rep. And if I just, I'm going to cheat a little bit and just assume Jim's account, but that's essentially logging into this web store as Jim. And what that allows me to do as that particular user, now what I'm able to do is switch between different customer accounts. So we've been looking at Alpine Ski House. It so happens that Jim is the sales rep for Relacloud and Trey and a Datum here. So what Jim can do, because he's been provided the the ability, he can actually switch between any of these customer accounts. So a really handy feature, perhaps before Jim, gets on a phone call or goes to visit those customer accounts, he can see exactly the same kind of information we were reviewing a second ago, in terms of the orders and transactions and so on. Just as another point here, Commercebuild doesn't license by users, so you can have as few or as many users as you like. We don't really mind at all how many users you have and how many different types of users either. So you can have a customer user that's simply linked to a single customer account. You can have sales rep users, as Jim Olive was just there, and you can have admin users, customer service reps, and so on. So let's just take a few minutes as well to expand what we just looked at in terms of a customer portal, and now look at adding the ability to place orders online as well, a very important part of an e-commerce site. And one of the things that Robbie was showing in her last couple of slides there was talking about trying to reduce errors, for one thing, in terms of keying in orders manually by maybe customer service and sales reps, but also allowing customers to ensure they're ordering the correct thing. And they can do that because they can see within a web store, they can see a lot more detail about the products that they're actually ordering. Now, one of the key things about an e-commerce store is, I'm sure we've all been used to using e-commerce over the last few years, for sure. Again, during COVID, no doubt, but also prior to that. And so, really, a Commercebuild web store should be as an intuitive tool as possible to use. So, however the customers, the web store users, want to use this site, it should really facilitate all of the different methods that they might choose to use. So, for example, they may wish to choose, to navigate through categories and subcategories of items, but they may just wish to start up here, and search for something that they're particularly interested in, whether it's a part of a description or part of an item code that they know. However they want to work through the web store, it's our job during the implementation phase of any Commercebuild store to work with you to make sure that whatever you do within the store makes the store nice and intuitive and really well thought out, so that customers can find the items that they're looking for. So, for example, if I just hit the products category right here, so now we're at a very top level category, but that doesn't mean that users have to be bombarded with items and then can't find anything that they're looking for. The last thing you really want is users scrolling through pages. One of the great things that we do in a Commercebuild store, and this is facilitated by the Elasticsearch that Robbie mentioned, is that you can also add data filters, product filters down the left-hand side here, for example. So, if I just arrived at a fairly major category, I still have filters down the left, just as you would in Amazon and Home Depot and any of the big retail stores. And that's going to help me really search here. If we then dive into an actual product page, and this is where we're really talking about, providing your customers with the ability to see all of the data that they really need access to. Equally could be for your sales reps. Maybe for some technical products, it's really handy for sales reps to be able to see lots of data about that particular product. But really, you're trying to allow people to be self-serve. So within a product detail page, we want to try to present as much information and make sure that that information is relevant and easily accessible. So when I come to this particular product page, the first thing to mention is that the item itself would exist in Business Central. So that's really the first place that the item starts to exist. As soon as it exists in Business Central, it's replicated up here to the store. And then what we can do in the store is really start to add extra bits to the item. So one thing we can do, for example, is if you're using item attributes in Business Central, those will actually flow through to the store here automatically. And you can choose which ones you want and which ones you don't want, of course. But if you're using item attributes, those will flow through, and the values that you've entered against those item attributes will just appear here in the store automatically. Again, this layout is totally arbitrary. This is just my definition of this product page. You can lay your page out differently than this. Equally coming from Business Central alongside these attributes would be the price that this particular customer will pay. So the web store doesn't do any price management. We want Business Central to be the single place that you create and maintain your product prices. So if we were to look in Business Central for Alpine Ski House and for this Paris guest chair, we would find that the price in Business Central is configured to be $192.80. So really important point again, the web store is constantly keeping up to date with the pricing that is also in Business Central, and equally it's keeping up to date with the availability of every item that's in BC. And not just an item in a single location. If you wish, you can provide access to all of your locations or many of your locations. Perhaps you ship from multiple geographical locations. Maybe there are specific warehouses that are, meant for dry goods, frozen goods, manufactured goods, all that kind of thing. You can provide access to all of that kind of data, and you can do that user by user. So perhaps an end user, you just want to give them a total of what's available, but maybe for a sales rep, you might want to give them this kind of breakdown as to what's available and where. So lots of information that's coming directly from Business Central. What I've actually done here too, though, is just for a demonstration. I've actually hooked up this particular web store to what's called a PIM, a PIM, Product Information Management System. And that's a nice little tool that sits outside of Business Central and Commercebuild and is used to maintain product data. So really to enhance the kind of product data that you may want to store and make available to your web store users. So in actual fact, if we were to look behind the scenes, we'd find that this kind of content data here is actually coming from the PIM, and we're using APIs to connect into that PIM. And that's a nice, useful feature. It's not a requirement by any means. This data could equally sit just within the web store's own data setup. But the PIM's a nice way of maintaining this kind of data and ensuring its consistency. And one of the other great things about PIMs is making PDF downloads easily accessible. So, if we want to create like a spec sheet for this Paris guest chair, we can actually do that in the PIM and then provide here on the product page a really nice, easy way to get to that PDF. You don't have to manually assign the PDF to the product in the web store and keep those links maintained. All of this happens dynamically by using the web store in combination with a connection over to the PIM. Not a necessary component, but just a nice component if that's something that was maybe on your radar or something to think about. But really what we're trying to do here is get the web store user to add items to the cart and check out. So it really, from the product page, of course, they're going to be able to add this item to the cart. They have everything they need here. They could actually enter a comment before adding the item to the cart. So maybe this item is for a particular person or a particular job or project, something along those lines. But either way, we're really just trying to get the user to add the item to the cart and then go back and add more items to the cart and so on. Fairly typical kind of usage of an e-commerce store. And really, when they're ready, they can come to the cart and they can actually view what it is they're going to order. Of course, they can manage and manipulate what it is they've got in their cart before they actually check out. Just before we quickly run through the checkout, I wanted to show you 2 or 3 other little tricks that we got up our sleeve here. So one of those would be, although we were looking there at an individual item code, you can also present items in a much more sort of grouped way. So, for example, you might have many different types of chair in my example here. And what I wanted to do on this particular page is use the web store's item variant capabilities. So with an item variant, you can have all sorts of levels of the variations that are available. So in my case here, we got type and we've got color. So if I want to see everything that is blue, I can maybe get a blue guest chair. And as I make my selections, you can see that various elements of the screen changes. My price goes and updates accordingly as well. And as I switch between different chairs, we can see that those screen options change. And really the benefit here is if somebody is looking to buy a set of chairs, then what they can do from a single product page, make their selections and add to the cart, change their selections, add to the cart, and so on. So it's really trying to make their whole buying journey efficient. That would be our item variants. We've also got support for things like kits and assemblies. So if you're particularly in manufacturing, of course, kits and assemblies are perhaps commonly used. This would be bills of materials in Business Central. So again, the web store is going to support purchasing a finished good, but maybe the finished good actually is comprised of various other component parts. And so what you can do if you set up kits in this way is to present not only the finished item, but actually what it comprises and the quantities of each that it comprises. So again, the user can add that to the cart and check out. One of the other fun things that we have here is also, and again, this kind of relates a lot to manufacturing styles of companies, is the ability to configure items. Apologies, my images are a little bit broken here, but this particular product configurator is purely web store based, so it's a very flexible way of allowing the user to actually configure, in this case, a bike. So what wheels do they want, what frame and forks, and so on and so forth. And again, when they add this item to the cart, this is actually going to add a little bit like the kits. This is going to add all of the component parts into the cart. We can see that we got individual pricing for each of those components too. The difference with a configurator versus a kit is that a configurator is just that. It's very configurable, whereas a kit would be a fixed set of components. And then over and above, these different methods of, finding and displaying items to the web store user. One of the other cool things that people really like, in particular internal customer service and sales rep kinds of users, is this quick order function. So if you don't need or don't want to go through a web store and browse around for for different items, you can actually just search for things within this quick order. And then what this allows you to do is to build a cart very, very quickly, simply by adding item codes right here within the quick order screens. So really nice and easy. You can see that it displays as you start to type, it displays the list of items that match the text that you've input. And as I say, this is really just a really fast way of adding items to the cart. You can add and you can remove items from the quick order. However you want to do that, you could do that from the quick order page. You could do that by going back to the cart and so on. And then once really we've added everything into the cart that we're interested in buying, we can then start to check out. Again, all of the pages that I've been showing you are very, very configurable. So everything like I've got on my cart page here could look totally different for you. You can choose to display or hide where things are coming from, or even maybe you're not even willing to tell the customer how many of an item you've actually got in stock and available. But nevertheless, as the user comes to the cart here, various bits of information can be shown to them, including things like the total weight of the shipment. Sales taxes will be calculated here on the fly, and that would use either the tax logic and data that's built into Business Central, or could use third-party applications such as SureTax or Avalara. I know that in the US, the sales tax calculation is pretty complex, and so oftentimes people would use Avalara or SureTax to help with that. But the web store user is just here trying to get through the checkout. We already know who this customer is. It's Alpine Ski House up here, so we know their billing address. That just came from Business Central. Don't need to worry to ask them about their billing address. So that's in here. We do want to ask them where they need to ship this order. So again, a couple of shipping addresses would have come from Business Central if they exist in there, but you can also, of course, allow people to create their own shipping address. As they go through and create some of this data, there's all sorts of validation going on in the background to make sure that that would be a valid address, for example. And of course, you can implement things like Google to help with address selection. As you get to the shipping methods, here I've got FedEx displayed, but this could be all sorts of different shipping options. You could use your own carriers, UPS, USPS, Canada Post, for those of us up here north of the border, many other different methods that are available here. You can also prompt the customer to use their own transport and maybe give you an account number of the transporter that they wish to use. But really, this particular part of the checkout is just trying to display to the user all of the different options that is relevant to the items that are being shipped and where they're being shipped. So as we continue on, the next step of the checkout really is to determine how this order is going to be paid for. So Alpine Ski House up here is an account that exists in Business Central, and because it exists there, it has payment terms. And because it has payment terms, the web store is going to read and understand those payment terms. So Alpine Ski House has terms that allow it to place orders on account. But if that was a cash or credit card only account in Business Central, then this option to put an order on account in the store would not be available. And instead, the user would be required to input something like a credit card or PayPal, something along those lines. We'll stick with on account for now. And so then as the user goes through the payment method, the last step of the checkout here may or may not prompt the user for various other inputs that they may want to do. So they might put their, a purchase order reference. They might put some comments in here, and all of this data and anything else that you may wish to prompt them for will flow through to Business Central as the order gets placed. And then just quickly, finally finishing off here, as a web store user, I want to do this 24/7. I don't want to wait for customer service reps to be available, for the office to open, the sales rep to respond to my call. I'm able to do this 24/7, so I can place my order. And as soon as I place my order, of course, I get an on-screen order confirmation. I also get a confirmation email. Internally within your company, you can be prompted with an email just to indicate that an order was placed. And then from the web store will push that order directly into Business Central immediately. And so really within Business Central, orders are flowing into the system 24/7. And then from this point on, you'll pick, pack, and ship as normal. That really was kind of a quick whiz through how both a customer portal and e-commerce can work. I don't know whether any questions came in during that, but more than happy to answer any questions from here.
Okay, so first of all, we will start with the questions that came in through the Q&A. Okay. So I'm not sure who will be the best to answer this, Paul or Robbie. Sure. So I'll let you guys go ahead and take over with that. So will the web store be able to withstand higher traffic when our business grows?
Oh, that's a great question.
It is a good question.
Yeah, yes. We have web stores that are really kind of they're potentially low volume of orders and users going through, but it's a great way to to display your items, give people access to data immediately. And then as that business grows, really our web stores are able to cope with many transactions all at the same time. And in fact, we have lots of monitoring going on in the background, such that if more resources are required to keep the performance of a web store really up in top condition, that's what our monitoring is looking for all of the time. We actually host within the Google Cloud, and so we have all sorts of monitors going on in there to make sure that whether you're doing one order a day, 10, 100, or 1,000, the web store will keep up with that and make sure that performance is really good.
Beautiful. So the second question that came in is your platform mobile friendly and optimized for mobile checkout?
Oh, another good question. Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to really be able to show you here, but everything within the store is responsive design. And one of the things that Robbie actually mentioned, one of our larger customers is a sportswear provider. They provide cricket bats and balls and so on. Maybe that's more familiar to myself as a former Brit, but you know, they provide sporting equipment. But the reason I mentioned them, they're a company called Kookaburra. The reason I mentioned them is that they spent a lot of time optimizing their site for mobile users. You know, imagine sports teams, you know, wanting to buy some equipment online. They're typically maybe doing it while they're at the sports venue, or you know, or sitting at home. And so their experience is very much that they want mobile users to be very happy within the store. And so that would certainly address the actual look and feel of the screens. And actually, very shortly, we're going to be introducing a brand new checkout. So although in my demonstration here, I went through 5 different steps of a checkout, we've got a new one coming out very shortly that actually brings that down to 1 page and makes that, I think, the premise of the question here, makes that a more mobile friendly checkout for mobile users in particular. So yeah, watch this space for something that's even better.
That's fantastic. And yeah, I guess mobile is taking over, right? So
yes, it sure is.
So another question that came in is, what is your implementation process like, and do you offer support after a site launches?
Yes. Our implementation, we call it a fast track, and we've really honed and created this to make it really efficient. So how this works is that we will, as I mentioned before, we can create a customer portal within a day. And for the stores, like a B2B, you know, sales portal, or if it's a B2C, we can do them in as fast as 30 days, up to 60 days. If it was very advanced configurations, maybe a little bit longer, but usually on average, it's 30 to 60 days. And we have a 5-method track that we do where we'll plan. We have a dedicated account manager who will be leading this so that we have you all organized. So much, he's so great that I actually saw clients give him a standing ovation on their kickoff call. It was amazing because they're like, this is so organized. We can't believe all the details we put in, that it's tracked. This is what's going to be happening on this day, this week. We have everyone prepped so they know exactly what they need. And once we finish that kickoff call where we understand, you know, all the desires based on all the calls we've had with our pre-scoping, then we, you know, connect directly into your Business Central. We start to build it out. We test it to make sure everyone's happy, and then we go live. And with the support, it's so critical for us to ensure it's our ethos that everyone has top elite support. So it's included with all our implementations. We don't charge extra for it. And currently, our response time, if you did need any help, has been less than an hour. It's actually been 30 minutes. We're quick. We have a worldwide team. And with that, are there any more questions? Because I do want to go into our pricing if we have a few moments quickly before we end our webinar.
Definitely. So before we get into pricing, I did have there's one more question related to pricing, and that's, what payment gateways do you integrate with?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
go ahead, Paul.
let me take that, Robbie. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there are you know, thousands of gateways out there. We try to support a handful of them because it's otherwise, you know, things can get a little crazy in terms of the support, as Robbie was just mentioning there. So we've typically partnered with iSolutions, which is a very common one within the Business Central space. VersaPay is another. Commonly here, more common over in Australia, New Zealand, where we also have lots of clients. They tend to use Stripe, but we have others like Braintree and Bambora and so on. So we've typically decided to, you know, hone in on probably a good sort of half dozen popular ones, so that we can provide you know, good support to those. And all of those gateways that we choose would also have an application that would sit within Business Central, and that's a really key part of that. You want to be taking credit cards online, whether you're pre-authorizing a credit card for capture later, or whether you're capturing payments online, either way, you want that data to flow into Business Central so that within Business Central, you can complete transactions, or you could reverse transactions by providing maybe a refund or a credit, and be able to easily access the credit card that was used in the web environment. So I don't know whether the questioner there had any kind of other, any kind of reason to ask, for a particular gateway, but we do choose them really quite carefully because of the interaction with Business Central.
Right. Okay, Robbie, that's all the questions that I have. If anybody else has a question, I guess now would be the time to ask, or maybe once Robbie is done explaining the pricing.
Yeah. I'll put the screen up, but if there are any more questions, definitely we can answer them. We're a very transparent company. We have this on our website as well. I put today right away, as I know so many of us are in Canada and with Saber's clientele. So we break it down where we can begin with a customer portal. And if you want to build out to a foundation site, which is a great way to start to build out a B2B site or a B2C, really gives you that ability to take the payments, have the basic SEO, one warehouse integration. We can start implementations as low as 10,000 Canadian. It's a one-time fee, and the monthly support, which includes the hosting, is at 930 per month. If you do need a little bit robust site, say you've got multi-warehouses, you need to split orders to finish completing the transactions with your clientele, we can handle that as well on this package. You can see the pricing again. It's only $18,000 for an implementation, $1,800 monthly support. Enterprise is when you need all those configurators like Paul was showing. Say you're going to be building out bikes or kits. We have a client who builds out glass fences. It's incredible. We can do that all on the enterprise level. It's a bit more customized. That's how we would describe it. And implementations are usually average of 30,000 with a 3,000 monthly support in Canadian dollars. And for the US pricing, a little bit lower just because of, the Canadian conversion, but you can see as well. So we are, as we said, a worldwide team, and we can build sites all over North America. As you did ask that great question about our support, you can also read up our reviews on the G2 review. We've got a 4.7 rating, but it's really true what I said before. We are so passionate to make sure from the beginning of our conversations to onboarding that we set up our clients with success and that you get that support. And you will see it in the reviews. They do mention our head of customer support, Bradley. He's highlighted so much in these reviews because our team goes beyond to help out. We once, on a funny story, had a customer over Christmas talk about their camera on their computer not working, which is not really an e-commerce question support, but we did help them and solve the issue. So that's where we really want to go beyond. The exciting thing I wanted to share is you can scan this code. We're offering with Saber a customer portal lite. So what this means is we will create that customer portal for you. I'm just making sure everyone can scan it, where you could view invoices, check the order status, see tracking information. We can even help with implementing a little chat online button. It would not include the payment capability. This is our we call it our light customer portal, but we're offering it, meaning we'll implement it. We're not going to charge you. We'll do it for free. So this is going to be running until the end of September. It's a great way to test, if you haven't had this offering before, to get your clients online. And once again, with the screenshot, this is your visual. So you can see the customer portal lite. They can click on the tracking. They can see all the, the orders. Really seamless. We'd be so thrilled to be able to help implement this right away for you. As I said, again, no charge. Are there any more questions? And this is my information too, but of course, contact your Saber account executives who can set up calls with me as well. But we're here to answer any last questions.
Great. Well, if that's all the questions for today, then I'd like to thank you all for attending the webinar. I'd also like to thank Paul and Robbie for presenting for us today. I hope you all have a great day, and we hope to see you again at our future webinars.